have come to the Warner Bros. Studios in Watford. It says London, but it's actually Watford, to do the Harry Potter tour. Now, we have booked the audio descriptive tour, which means we're going to have a tour guide as we go around, as John's got a visual impairment. And when we came last time, we found it made a really big difference, so we're doing it again this time. So we shall see you inside.
She would have been about 16, 17 when she did those.
I've noticed something.
She's
before.
tiny.
She was tiny. Yeah, I suppose she was a teenage girl, so.
She only has 4 fingers.
Gosh, that would be scary, wouldn't it? Then we've got Daniel Radcliffe's here, which he also has really tiny hands, I think.
He does, yes.
They're about the same size as mine. And I'm a 28-year-old girl, so what does that say about him? And then these ones over here are Rupert Grint, so we'll head over this way. It's quite cool, isn't it?
That is quite cool.
I'm going to describe it to you. So
They're covered under the stairs.
Carpet. And the tiny cupboard is the smallest. It looks similar to my first ever room in London.
Oh my
It's
God.
tiny.
To sit down at the table.
I've actually cut myself sometimes with and then we've got the goblet. It's quite cool. So there you go, you're sitting at one of the tables. How cool is that?
You know what I've learned from this? That the fork goes on the left, the knife goes in the middle, and the spoon goes on the right. What kind of sick joke is this? I can't pick up my fork!
It's glued down.
How am I supposed to eat if I can't? I'll do it.
Like reading crystal balls or tarot cards and stuff like that. And then we've got my favourite, Professor McGonagall, played by Maggie Smith. She's fantastic. We've got a few stories about Maggie Smith up my sleeve for you. Then we've got Professor Dumbledore right in the middle with the beautiful lectern that's got it's gold and it's got an owl on it, some dragons and some lovely candles. It's absolutely
What about Hagrid?
yeah, we're getting there. We've got Professor Snape first. So Snape's costume was actually blue. So if he's meant to be black doesn't show up very well. It's very dark. So black doesn't show up well on camera. So we have to make a very dark blue so that you can see on the camera. And then we've got Professor Hagrid, your favourite.
Oh, yes.
He's very, very tall. So our Hagrid stood at about 7'6", which is, so we had Robbie Coltrane who played Hagrid, and then he had a stunt double. His name was Martin Bayfield, who was 6'10". So he's an ex-England rugby player. He's absolutely huge. But so we had to make him even bigger. So we added stilts in his. Right in front of us now, we've got the Yule Ball set. So did you say you've seen the Goblet of Fire?
Read the book.
Read the book? Okay, so that is even better.
No, books are better than the film.
That's what I was going to say. That is even better because I was saying to George just before, The Goblet of Fire is my favourite book. There's so much detail in it that they obviously couldn't fit into the film.
No.
But so for the Yule Ball, they decked the great hall out with all these beautiful silver fabric on the walls to make it look very icy, and we've got some ice sculptures to make it look beautiful and elegant, and the ice sculpture in the middle of this huge table in front of us here is based on the Brighton Pavilion. Have you been to Brighton before? Brighton? In the south?
No. My wife probably has, I have not.
Have you been to Brighton too? Yeah, perfect. So the Brighton Pavilion is a very, very beautiful building in Brighton. And then we've got some of the Yule Ball costumes. So we've got Madame Maxine, who was the head mistress of Beauxbatons, the school which Fleur came from in France, the magical school in France. And then we've got Harry and Cho's costume, so Harry's beautiful dress robes, the suit that he wore. We've got my favourite costume out of everything, Hermione's beautiful Yule Ball dress that she wears. It's gorgeous, that one. It's like, it looks a bit like a cake. It's tiered like a cake. It's absolutely gorgeous.
My favourite.
Yeah. And then if we keep moving on, we've got, Rupert Grint's costume as well from the Yule Ball was also one of my favourites. So Rupert Grint was very famous for saying that he would wear anything on set. So they went, okay, then we'll make your robes as ugly as possible. We'll make them out of an old carpet. So his robes are absolutely dreadful, made from an old carpet, and it was a joke that they were his own. We've also got from, I think it's the first film, the Halloween Feast. You'll love this because everything on here basically is a chocolate feast.
Oh, let me hear it.
It's not real, I promise. It's all made of resin, but we've basically got some resin, which is a like a plastic. It's very easy to mould resin. That's why they used it so much. So we've got, I'm glad you can't see it because it's making me very hungry looking at it. So it's all made of chocolate, chocolate in inverted commas though, all made of resin. We've got some ice cream, we've got some chocolate mice on the table, we've got a beautiful phoenix sculpture made out of resin, chocolate as well. Yeah, so I'm glad you got it. The girl who played Luna, her name was Ivana Lynch. She was just recently on, what was it, Dancing with the Stars or Strictly Come Dancing or whatever the is here. I don't know.
Me neither.
She won, which is great. But she had never acted before. And the reason they hired her, she was a massive fan of the books, so she'd read all the books and loved them and wrote to J.K. Rowling. So she wrote to J.K. Rowling telling her how much of a fan she was, and they became pen pals. And then when the role for Luna came up, she said to Joanne, I need this role because it is me. And anyone who meets Ivana, there's a few people at this tour who have met her because she's been in it a few times. She is Luna. She is 100% everything Luna is. She's wild, she's eccentric, she's creative, and she's very fun. So they gave her a lot of creative rights for her costumes and her jewellery and everything like that. So the way Luna looks is the way Ivana wanted her to look. One of my favourite costumes of Luna's is this dress here. So this is the dress that Luna wears to the Christmas party.
Oh, hang on. Oh,
that's me. That's me. So this is the dress that Luna wears to the Christmas party, and it's basically, can you feel the tinsel? It's a little bit spiky, right? Yeah. It's on the edges of each of the layers. So it's layered and it's got the tinsel on the end. So she wore it. It's basically meant to kind of look like a Christmas tree. So this is her beautiful Christmas party dress, and it's got wire in it as well. So they hung it upside down while it was being stored, and then when they put it on her, it was kicked out exactly like a Christmas tree. So each layer would stand out.
That's brilliant.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
That is up. Oh, yeah.
And it feels really cool to touch as well. I would imagine it would be quite itchy to wear though.
Yeah.
Not comfortable to wear. Can you reach it, Georgia?
That would be itchy to wear.
It would be itchy, wouldn't it? So not only did she have creative control over costumes that were made for her, but what they also did is, because she was so much like Luna, they actually raided her wardrobe and got her to wear some of her own clothes for the film. So this is one of my favourite things that she wore. Can you guess what this is? It feels like a teddy bear, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
This is actually a cardigan. She wants a jumper, and it's got all these funny little bits of wool hanging off it. It's so crazy. It's a bit like a sheep, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like a teddy bear. Can you feel it, George?
Yes.
So this was from her own wardrobe. And I've checked it for labels because I want to know where she got it because I love it. There's no labels on it though, apparently. These are quite delicate, but just feel them gently. So Ivana Lynch actually made this jewellery to go with her costume for the Christmas party. So we've got some earrings that are kind of like Christmas baubles, and then her bracelet here, which is made of tinsel, and it's actually got a rabbit on the end. It's a hare. So a hare is what Luna's Patronus was.
Oh, okay.
So she made these all herself, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
So good.
Here. Do you have it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
So this cape that I've got here is a velvet cape that Gilderoy Lockhart wears. So this cape is actually hand embroidered. It's very heavy to hold. It's so luxurious. It's all velvet. So he was very much loved his luxury. But what I find and I studied fashion design at uni, so I can appreciate that this was hand embroidered, but the only time you see this on the screen is for about 5 seconds. So it got 5 seconds of screen time and all that work has gone into it. So I think the most magical thing about this film is the attention to detail. Children there with a big crack in it. And I say to them, what do you think would happen with this? And they're like, it will leak. And I'm like, therefore, it's the leaking culture. Okay, so it's massive. And then we've got some of the portraits that hang in the leaking culture on the wall as well. But my favourite thing is the fire that we've got. So it's the same as the fire in the Great Hall. So it's not real, but it's very real. So what we did is we've got, like when you boil the kettle and we've got steam coming out the top, it's a bit like that. So we use water vapour. So it is warm, but it's just like water vapour. It's coming out the top. And then we put some LED lights underneath, so it looks like red and yellow. It's absolutely phenomenal. The Goblet of Fire, when Harry takes the golden egg into the prefect's bathroom and he listens to it under the water.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
So these taps run all different colours, and it looks a bit like so many kids come up and they're like, "Is that soda?" I'm like, "No, that's running water. It's got food colouring in it." But there's 52 taps there, and they were all working for the films. Now they're just on the loop, so we don't waste water. Right now we are in the boys' dorm. We've got all the boys' beds and the wooden floors and the beautiful fire in the middle of the room. I think one of the best things about this set is the size of the beds. So the beds were made when the boys were, obviously for the first film, when the boys were 11 and 12 years old.
They weren't remade, were they?
They were not remade, so they're quite small, these beds. So from about the third film onwards, you never see a shot of the boys lying in their beds because they did not fit anymore. They grew out of them very quickly. Teenage boys, as I'm sure you know, George, grow very quickly. It's a great set. I don't think they'd want to remake it, but I also don't think they needed shots of them lying in their beds either, so why would they remake it when they didn't really need to? So we've got all the beds from the boys in the film. So we've got Neville's bed over to the left. Then we've got Dean Thomas's bed. So Dean Thomas was the Muggle-born West Ham fan. Then we've got Harry's and Ron's as well. So there's 4 beds in here. We're missing one, which is exactly where you are standing now. We had to take out one so that we could get visitors in here, but poor old Seamus Finnegan, his bed is not in here anymore. We had to get rid of it. Above your head, there are some what look like wooden beams. So basically in a castle, in a room, you'd expect to see like wooden beams about, you know, to do with the structure of the room. So they look like wooden beams, they look wooden, but they're made of foam. So all the outside of this room was made of foam because they had to make this set really light. Because what they did with it is they lifted it up on stilts so that they could connect it to the common room. So what they did is they walked up the stairs in the common room to go to the boys' dormitory. So if you're walking up the stairs and you open a door and there's nothing there, it's going to look a bit strange on the film. So what they did is they lifted it up on stilts and connected it to the door so they could actually get that shot of them coming through the stairs up and into the boys' dormitory. The Mad Muggle comic book that we've got from the common room. So it's basically a comic book that wizards would have, which is ironically about muggles. So again, that was designed by our graphic designers, Mina Lima, who we'll talk a bit more about later, I'm sure.
Common room.
So, one thing as well, that is a clue, because that beautiful witch is Professor McGonagall.
So here we've got the door to Dumbledore's office. So what it is a big statue of a griffin, right? And it's in like a corridor thing. So you'd go up to the griffin, you'd say the password, and he changes into like the staircase. So you climb up the griffin and go around and go through the door of Dumbledore's office. My favourite thing that I've ever heard about this door to Dumbledore's office is that it's the biggest griffin door in the castle. Do you like that one? It's Dumbledore's pensieve. So that is the thing that you put all the memory vials into, and then Harry dives into it and can see things that have happened before. So you can feel that. So that's the top of the pensieve there.
Okay, so I'm pretending.
You're diving into it, are you? What we've got here in front of you is one of my favourite things as well. This is the case that holds all the memory vials. So inside that glass, they've got about 800 vials. Glass vials. They're quite small, they're like the size of a pen.
Oh, okay.
And they've each got inscribed on them whose memory they are, and they're all handwritten, all the labels by our graphic designers, and they're all different colours as well. So it's like a little spinning around rainbow. So they're all in layers. Again, it looks like a bit like a cake. Got all different layers of the memories, and they're all different colours as well. So it's absolutely beautiful. So everything that I pick up, I'm going to make sure it's interesting for you to touch. All right?
Okay.
So like Luna's dress was quite interesting. What is this?
This is a feather from the Phoenix.
Nope, it's a feather. It's actually Dumbledore's quill.
Oh, okay.
So that is what he would write with.
Ah,
Yeah?
okay. Yeah.
It's quite cool.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
There are many books in this office because Dumbledore was quite clever and he liked to read a lot about Muggle lore and things like that. So a lot of these books on them say Muggle lore, but there's also a lot of scrolls. So he obviously used to write a lot and take notes. And one of my favourites is there's a scroll up there that we unravelled one time and it has the Hogwarts song on it. So they like have actually gone to the trouble of writing things like that, which is insane.
That is brilliant.
But yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it?
That is.
So each of the Dumbledores in this office are in the position where Harry first sees them. So when he first sees Richard Harris, he's coming down these very elegant stairs from the top to Buckingham, a little bit more of a fierce Dumbledore, I think. It's very blunt with Harry. We've got our Triwizard Tournament is in one of the, Triwizard Cup is in one of the glass cabinets. We've also got the egg that Harry won in one of the Triwizard Tournament tasks, the golden egg. And then in the cage in front of us, we've got an array of things, which is my favourite. So we've got the Philosopher's Stone. What's in here? Go up. Got the Philosopher's Stone. We've got
We've forgotten something, but not what.
Sorry, my darling. Excuse me. Thank you. We've got Dumbledore's Deluminator as well, which is the put-outer, the thing that he clicks and then the lights come back from it. We've got the Neville's Remembrance with Goblet of Fire. So there's one of two. So the one that you saw in the Great Hall, we'll see that in a minute. But this one here is the hero prop. So this one is the one that doesn't shoot names out of it. This one is made 100% of a piece of wood. It's made of a single piece of tree elm. And it was carved by two of our prop makers. So I said earlier that I studied design at school. So the graphic designers are probably two of my favourite people that worked on the films because of how creative they were and how in-depth they made everything.
And they definitely have made things very in-depth.
Absolutely. So what we've got here is one of the textbooks from the Potions classroom.
Oh, all right.
And you can open that up. And usually on film sets, what you'll have with textbooks and things like that, like in Dumbledore's office, most of the books in there are just like yellow pages or something like that. And they haven't really got anything on the inside. They're just the cover and that's it. But this book is a potions book and it actually has potions recipes in it. So that's how, no, you can't make them at home. I know what you're thinking. I know that noise. But this actually has Polyjuice potion recipe in it and preparation for the Draft of Living Death. So basically what they did with going into such detail is make it as believable as possible for these kids that were acting out this part. So they were kids at the end of the day doing a job that an adult would do. So they had to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to act it out and make them feel like they were in studying magic in the world of Hogwarts. So basically what they did is they made everything very immersive. When they looked at their desks, they had textbooks open with potion recipes on it and it made it very easy for them. So this actually has all the ingredients that you'd need. Again, I don't think you'd be able to get this from Tesco's. There's like...
Sainsbury's maybe.
What have we got? Standard size cauldron, beaker... what have we got? They're all the we got water, standard potioning water, asphodel root powder, wormwood essence, valerian roots, things like that you wouldn't be able to get from Tesco's.
No, Sainsbury's yes, but Tesco's no.
Yeah.
But I have to say that how much detail went into writing all these
it's incredible, isn't it? So it's only 18 pages repeated.
Okay.
It's not the whole book, but even that is incredible, I think.
Yes.
In this room, it is very dark, but around on the walls, we've got about... Originally, there was 1,000 potion vials. So these jars are probably about the size of your forearm, so probably about that big. Big glass jars, and they've got all different, what looks like potions ingredients in them. Okay, but what the props team did is they went and sourced everyday kind of items that they could use to make it look like potions ingredients. So what they did is they went to just everyday shops, again, probably like Tesco's or Sainsbury's, and they just bought random things and they basically just float them in water and they look a bit strange and a bit weird. So what I've got here for you, see if you can figure out what this is.
Hang on. Long tail. I'm going to guess.
Oh, that's a giveaway, that mouth.
This is a dragon.
Oh, close. It's actually a crocodile. Toy crocodile. Plastic toy crocodile.
Oh.
So they got things like this. We've got plastic octopus over there as well. They would have got from the zoo, like the shop at the zoo. You know how they sell all toys like that?
Yeah.
And they just float them in jars and it makes them look a bit spooky, a bit like potions ingredients in them. Some of these cauldrons actually learn how to stir themselves. It's special effects that we've got that they can stir themselves. And I've also got some lots of potions books on the tables and some potion vials and things like that. But we've also got the mannequins with the costumes of our 2 potions professors at Hogwarts. So do you remember who they were?
You had Snape, and then we had Professor Slug.
Exactly. So just behind me, I've got Professor Snape's robes. Now remember I said before they were dark blue, not black, same as his hair. They had to make that dark blue as well because it doesn't show up very well on the camera. And then we've got Slughorn's robes over there as well. Like you said, very similar to Lockhart's. They're very elegant. He's got a nice hat on his head. One of the great things about the Harry Potter films is they try to use as many practical effects as they possibly could. So things like Hagrid's head. I was explaining before how they made a robotic head for Martin Bayfield to wear that looks like Robbie Coltrane. So I think that's kind of, and that's probably why you can see a lot of it now these days. If it was everything was done with computers, we wouldn't even have a tour because we wouldn't be able to see it.
Exactly. If you were to digital tour, you
exactly.
do it online.
You do it online, yeah.
Click here to go to the next room.
Exactly. So one of the special effects that they used with Hagrid was a thing called perspective view. So basically what they would do is when Robbie Coltrane was acting as Hagrid, they would put him at the front of the camera and put everybody else at the back to make them look smaller and make him look bigger. So we'll try that out later when we go into, we can go and sit at the table at Hagrid's table. We'll make him so giant and we'll laugh at it too. But behind me what we've got is Hagrid's hut, and this is the bigger version of it. So basically what they did is they made a big version and a small version, again to get that perspective view. So with the big version, what they did is they put the kids inside this, so they would look like they were in a giant's house, basically. They would sit in his chair, and it was an enormous chair, so they would look really small. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Put your hands out, just like that, and as loud as you can, say up.
Up. It's magic.
Okay, now let go of it, and it will go back down on its own heels like that. Alright, put your hand out. And say up. Oh. Yay! It is magic. Well done. Got a beautiful case over it, so you can't actually see the goblet. But just for George and Sue's benefit, I'm going to show you how it operated. Okay?
Okay.
So this is our special effects version. So the other one was just plain wood. This is the special effects version. So the guy that you can hear talking on the screen, his name is John Richardson. So he created everything that moves, basically. All the special effects like the Goblet of Fire, the Chamber of Secrets door, all the carts that move in Gringotts Bank, everything like that. He's fantastic. Alright, I'm going to show you how this works.
Alright.
Okay, so obviously the case is coming down now. We've got the goblet in there with some blue flames coming up. Did I hit someone? Thank you. Okay, so what happened there is the goblet changed colour. So we had blue flames at the start, and once the goblet's made its decision about who the Triwizard Champions are going to be, the flames of course turn red, and then it shoots out a piece of parchment.
And that's
It's the same one that I gave you before. You moving your hand across there is making the knitting needles, knitting scarf.
I've never seen it a day in my life. I never know
Well,
it.
you're doing it right now. There you go. So this again is very homely. It's very crowded. It's got lots of old things in here, and it is very authentically Weasley. So we've got the Weasley twins up the back there in their matching outfits. We've got Mrs. Weasley in her knitted cardigan. We've got Ginny and Arthur Weasley. Mary Riddle and Thomas Riddle.
The parent of Lord Voldemort.
Exactly. Except there's a big mistake on this gravestone. So, this gravestone, like I said, belongs to Tom Riddle, who was Voldemort's father. However, they've written Tom Marvolo Riddle on here, which is Voldemort. Marvolo was his middle name from his mother's side. So basically what it is a big extravagant tombstone with the Angel of Death. Now, this is my least favourite area.
I agree with you.
Now we've got a big long round table in front of us, a bit like the tables they have in the Great Hall, with all the Death Eaters sat around it. Voldemort's at the head, and he's got his pet on the table.
Oh.
What's his pet?
His pet is that big snake.
Exactly.
I think it's Nagini, isn't it?
Nagini, yes, correct. So there is a giant. So what we've got here, because she's not allowed to handle anything that was too sharp anymore, this is made of rubber.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and this, it actually looks like a real knife, but what we've got on the end is, if you can feel that, that is exactly the same dark mark that you've got now in your passport. So you're holding the thing that killed Dobby.
Oh, I like Dobby.
I know.
But I shall not give it back, so Dobby will not die.
It's too late, mate. It's too late. He's already gone. Doesn't like Dolores because she's very sickly sweet, and she was of course bad. But I like her. I think she's a good character. I've got the kitten plates in the background. Remember I told you about the kitten plates before? The animals. It's lovely. So she loved her cats. She also loved the colour pink.
Ah, yeah.
Very girly, very pink. And so one thing about the films, remember I said everything was done in great detail. One of my favourite things that I learned when I first started working here that I never noticed in the film. So Voldemort's costume, each time a Horcrux is destroyed, George, do you know what a Horcrux is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So each time a Horcrux gets destroyed, they made Voldemort's costume lighter to symbolise that he was losing his power. He's being drained of his power. So he had 7 Horcruxes, therefore they made 7 costumes for him for the last film. Each costume was made of 60 metres of Parisian silk. So it was very heavy duty costume,
Very warm.
very luxurious. But yeah, they went to great detail, and that is something that you don't even notice in the films. But it's just something that in the back of your mind you're subconsciously seeing that. And it's the same with Dolores Umbridge. So she's got her pink costumes, and as she gets more and more powerful, like you said, power hungry, her costumes get brighter and brighter in colour to symbolise that she's getting more and more strong, like more and more powerful. Okay, so you're going to put your arm out in front of you. You're going to turn your feet so you're facing your right hand side. Yep, that's it. And then your wand is going to go above your head and point forward. That's it. So arm out, so you're aiming, you're pointing forward, and then you're going to whip it just like a whip. Go forward. Very good. That's perfect. How you going, George? Arm out in front of you. Wand above your head. Wand over your head and whip it. Very good. All right. So that's move number 1. We're going to do move number 2 now, Gemma.
And now let's try move number 2.
So with your back foot, you're going to step forward
Turn
in
your
front
body
of
to
you,
the left,
and
bringing
the wand
the right
goes straight
side
forward.
on a flat plane.
Okay, so we'll come back, try again. Ready? And step forward. Very good. Do you want to do it on your own? And go for it. Step forward. Perfect. All right, and last one. Thank you, Gemma.
And now let's try move number 3.
This is a tricky one. So this arm comes in, so you're just going to go.
Bring your left side across and your left arm to protect your center. Keep your eye on the target at all times. Let's see you try.
Go for it. Perfect. That is awesome. That was so good. You're right there, George. You got it? George has got it. Okay, should we try them? Ready? We're going to do number 1 again.
Okay.
So George, you're going to start off like
Whip!
this. That's it. The whip. That's it, George. Very good. Whip it forward and back. That's it. And then number 2 was the big step forward. That's it. Whip forward. That's it. And then number 3, arm across your body and underneath. That's it. Good work. So good. All right, so you have some enormous trees in front of you, and it's very dark and small. So you've got some face effects or just in front of you. I'm going to bring you over here, and you're going to feel the tree in front of you.
Okay.
It just keeps on going. They're very tall.
Very tall.
Okay, what do you think they're made of?
They are made of stone.
No. Do you want to guess again, or do you want me to tell you?
I don't know.
It's something I've mentioned before. So these trees are actually made of foam. Again, they're hardened foam on the outside. They're very, very light. So we talked about before all the creatures that Hagrid loves.
Yeah.
There's one particular one. And he's a mix between an eagle and a horse.
Buckbeak.
Buckbeak.
Hello, Beaky. Oh, with your wings. Oh, look at it. I'll stick my hand in his mouth. I'm not scared.
There's Buckbeak. Above our heads are some very big spider webs as well. So we've got some spiderwebs. They were actually made out of fishing wire. Oh yeah, you'll be able to do it on screen here. It's fantastic. What we've also got in here are some very large spiders. Alright, so when Corinne's ready, she's going to press the button.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they're actually coming down all around us. Right away.
Yeah. Which,
Incredible, no, I still don't know how to do it. They definitely drove it in Harry's letters, his acceptance letters to Hogwarts. We've got a few of the daily prophets. So everything here was designed by our graphic designers. An original prop, apart from this, we had to replace that number 4 because it was stolen by Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley. He took the number 4 Privet Drive home as a souvenir.
and I'm guessing that they weren't impressed, were they?
No, I'm sure that, you know, he did a lot for the film, so I'm sure he can do whatever he wants. And then over here, just in this room here, we've got the lounge room. So we just walked through the Privet Drive house. So they made a couple of those. The reason they made them though, they used a real street in Reading for the first film, where they filmed the streets that the Dursleys live on. But then after that, that street unfortunately got too much publicity. So the people who live on the street weren't very happy. So they had to recreate the houses. So it was actually quite funny. I had a lady walk through Privet Drive with me one time and she said, I live on this street and it is so strange. These houses are exactly the same. She said it was really weird. It feels like I'm walking through my street. Talked about earlier. I'm going to see if you can guess who this was. I'm going to give you her foot.
Okay.
So this is a foot. This actress went into the forest to feed the Thestrals. She's very kind.
Luna!
Luna, this is Luna's foot. Feels quite real, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
And I can tell you what, it looks so real as well. Do you want to have a look at that? Show Sue.
Yeah, would you like to look, Sue?
So what they did is, because she was walking in a forest and she was meant to be barefoot, they made her these. So they're basically like Wellington boots. So if you put your hand in there, you can feel it's rubber on the inside. Yeah, you can wear it like a foot glove.
Hang on.
You've got a foot hand right now.
You know what? I normally put my foot in my mouth. I can put Luna's foot in my mouth.
So what they did is they made her these so that she wouldn't damage her feet. It's basically a health and safety reason that they made these for her, because they're very, if you give that a good tap on the bottom, it's very solid.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's like a shoe, so she wouldn't hurt her feet, but they look exactly like real feet. So she wore these when we filmed her in the forest. My favourite, Fawkes the Phoenix.
This is the book that Hagrid would. This is the book that Hagrid would want people to read, isn't it? Oh my god!
Do you remember this one? Goes.
Oh yeah, this is the monster book, isn't it?
This is the Monster Book of Monsters. So it feels like a monster on the outside. It's very furry. He's got some eyes in there, and a big buckle, big belt buckle on the top to hold it shut, because otherwise it would start eating. Before about Martin Bayfield. So basically what it is a big harness that would sit on his shoulders, and then a big giant-sized head that would sit on top of his shoulders. So it would sit on his head, but it would almost sit above his head to make him even taller as well.
Okay.
And this animatronic head would be operated off camera as well, so that was remote controlled. So as Hagrid would speak, they would be able to move it with the remote controls.
So it's almost like
expressions and everything.
So it's almost like a puppet, kind of.
Exactly like a puppet. That is a good way to put it. I'm going to use that from now on. So that is right in front of you in this case. He's staring at me now, and it's kind of freaking me out. So I'm going to move. It kind of looks like a plant, but it looks like a baby as well. It's a bit weird. And we've got an animatronic head wig as well, which is one of my favourite.
I don't intend on robbing the van.
I don't believe you for a second. So in front of you, I've got the doorknobs for Gringotts. What does that feel like to you?
Fiberglass, that's what it feels like.
Oh, sorry, no, I meant the shape. What does the shape feel like? So we've got a couple of those, one big thing there.
I'm going to guess this is supposed to be a goblin.
It's a goblin face, exactly. So the doorknobs are in the shape of the goblin faces. Very big nose, very tiny beady eyes. Got my Australian friend Shannon.
Hello, Shannon. How are you?
And she's holding a gold bar for you. Now, this gold bar, what do you think a gold bar might feel like? A bit heavy?
Well, it depends how much gold there is, really.
Well, it's a bar, so it's about this big.
Okay. I would
and
imagine it should
about
be
this
heavy.
thick. Yes, it would be heavy, but this one, if you give that a feel, it's not as heavy as you think it would be, is it?
Well, no, well, maybe. Well, no. No. Either it's not very heavy, or Shannon is, or Shannon's a bodybuilder.
Okay, so what did we say these were made out of? I told you earlier what a few of the props were made of.
Foam.
So no, you're close though.
Fiberglass.
No.
Okay.
Remember we were holding Bellatrix's dagger.
Plastic.
So it's rubber, yeah, plastic, exactly. So this is made of rubber, and that's why it's super light. So again, they made the mold, they injected the rubber into the mold, so they could make it any shape they wanted. Okay, so they made a gold bar out of it, and it's actually painted gold, so it looks like a real gold bar, but I promise you it's not. So we're going to put that back before you decide to go and cash it in.
I'm super rich.
Okay, so we are now walking through the box bank, and everything in here is very shiny. So above our heads we've got fish, and they look like they're crystal, but they're actually just made of polyester, which is a more superior to everyone else, therefore they have to be up higher
They have
than
to be up
everyone
higher,
else.
don't they?
Yep. So we've got some lovely gold mannequins in here with these silicone masks, so they look very real and it's very spooky. Sometimes when I'm in here by myself, I swear to God they move. I swear they move. We're at the centre bank teller's desk. So he's what we assume is the manager of the bank, so the head bank teller, and he's staring at you right now. He's just above you.
Oh, hi.
Ask him if you can make a withdrawal.
May I make a withdrawal, please?
So you know in the first film when Hagrid takes Harry into the vaults, they go on the cart. Inside this vault door here, we've got the Philosopher's Stone. Locking back up. So all the parts are all moving, the bolts are moving. There we go, it's locked back up. What they did for this set is they made 40,000 pieces of treasure. The same way they made the gold bar, they made the rubber molds, they inject the rubber into the molds, and they could make around 6,000 a day. So it's very intense, but they made a lot of treasure for this vault, and then they just painted it all gold and silver and everything. So what we've got in here are lots of what look like vases and swords and pieces of armour and coins, lots and lots of coins. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of treasure for you.
The Strange Vault is a fantastic example of my team and then other departments working at their best and contributing at their best to.
So this is like some kind of cup, I would say.
What is it?
It's a cup,
Oh, yes, a cup. Okay.
like a goblet kind of thing, with
Oh,
a lid
yes,
on it.
yes.
It's got a lid on it. Perfect. So feel
Which
how
I'm
it
guessing
feels a bit
does not come off,
squishy.
does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
It's a bit squishy, isn't it?
That's because this part is rubber.
It's all rubber. The whole thing's made of rubber. It looks quite cool though.
I like that you can hear him and
The Weasley's Wizard Weezer's shop.
the joke shot.
The joke shop. So the Weasley shop looks exactly like the Weasley twins. They're right on. The whole shop is basically it looks like someone's vomiting colour. There's colours everywhere. It's as bright as it could possibly get. There's all different kinds of crates and things in there. Joke tools and love potions and all those kinds of things.
By the way,
Yep, I can. As soon costumes. We've got Dumbledore's costume.
Oh, this is the main event characters.
So last time you came here, did this look a bit different?
Yes.
What did it have? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Might have had Voldemort's costume with all the bits of silk, maybe. But Dumbledore's costume. So these are the costumes worn by Michael Gambon Dumbledore. So the second Dumbledore that we had. And this Dumbledore, they kind of made him a bit like a hippie. All right, so he wore a lot of cloaks. Purple, he wore a lot of purple because purple's a very royal colour, and he was, of course, the highest tier at Hogwarts as well. So we've got some of his purple robes here. This is my favourite, this one though. This is the one Dumbledore wore to the Yule Ball. Can you feel that?
Now that is just comfortable.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Imagine walking around in that.
No, I wouldn't walk around. Just like sleep in that.
It's nice, isn't it? So made him very
I
much.
guess you'd have to do some kind of walking, wouldn't you?
It's very luxurious though, isn't
Yes.
it? It feels nice and silky. Another one here. This is probably one of his undergarments.
Oh.
Feels nice and silky, doesn't it?
Whoops.
Got it? So he wore a lot of dresses, a lot of purple robes. Very hippie.
Even his undergarments are luxurious.
Exactly. Dobby the house elf. So Dobby the house elf, he was very difficult to design. So when you read about the description of Dobby in the books, I think it's very difficult to decide whether you think Dobby's cute or whether you think he looks a bit creepy. It's kind of a mixture between both.
From my imagination, I picked more cute, but that's just probably my imagination.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's very much up to interpretation, really.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very difficult for them to kind of nail what Dobby should look like, because he is very mistreated. He wears, the pillowcase as his garment that he wears, and he does look very beaten down and very sad. So in the art department, one of the artists, he had a puppy that would walk around the office. And one day the puppy's name was Max. The puppy Max came and put his head on Rob Bliss's lap and just looked up at him, and Rob said, "That's my inspiration for Dobby. He looks like a sad puppy with droopy ears and big eyes." So that's what Dobby looks like. Dobby looks like a sad puppy dog.
This is Hogwarts. This is the actual Hogwarts castle used in shots taken of outside the castle in the films. This Hogwarts model is 1/24th scale, so it's 24 times smaller than you'd imagine the real castle to appear. However, it's still quite big for a model and is probably about the same size as a small house. It has some little rocks at the bottom, as you can imagine Hogwarts to be on some kind of cliff face. The castle itself is made of things like fiberglass and resin, and it's got wooden scaffolding on the inside. It's got tiny little tiles on the roof and is very detailed. If you got a tiny little camera and stuck it through one of the windows, there are miniature portraits on the walls and things like that. So the detail on this castle is amazing. So much so that when you watch the films, you can imagine the castle to be a real place. This is where the Quidditch pitch would be. There's no Quidditch pitch on the model because they use green screens in those scenes. So when they look like they're flying around on a broom, they're just sitting on a broom in front of a green screen. At the back here is the owlery. Probably a good place to put it, as I imagine it would be quite smelly. The lights around the castle are changed to show night and day. At the moment it's night time, so all the tiny little LED lights in the castle are lit up. Where we're standing now is where Hagrid's hut would be. Hagrid's hut isn't part of the model because they used a life-sized Hagrid's hut in the films. It's awe-inspiring to see this huge model of Hogwarts, and I can understand why some people are moved to tears when they see it. Hi again. We've spent about 6 hours here. It's a long time we've been here.
Yes, quite a while.
And we've had a good time. We've seen some new stuff that we didn't see last time. There's just so much that we saw, I can't possibly talk about it really.
No.
The audio descriptive tour was good.
I was quite impressed last time, and to say I'm just as impressed, if not more so impressed, would be an understatement.
Yes, it was good, and we got our little passports stamped for the different areas we went to, didn't we?
We have 6 of those, yes.
Yeah, and we got quite a few photos as well. So it's been really good, and I think this is probably now going to be an annual thing for us, isn't it? Where we come back again.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this very long video. And if you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you don't already, please hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss one of our weekly uploads. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye now.